I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. Washtenaw County Parks and Rec make enjoying our area parks a fun, interactive experience the entire year. Whether it's sunny or snowy, the parks are always ready to be explored.
Rolling Hills County Park is home to some majestic nature areas, but there's also an elusive creature that has inhabited the local wildlife.
Eddie the Yeti, he's a little rambunctious. He likes to get out and cause a little trouble around the park. He loves to do activities in the snow or in the summertime. He likes to ski, snowboard, climb trees, and lots of other activities he can do here at Rolling Hills County Park. Eddie and his family have been living out here for years, and we thought we'd let people know, give them the opportunity to come out, see if they can find him.
Catching a glimpse of Eddie is no simple task.
Today we came out to do the scavenger hunt, the hunt for the Yeti. It's an outdoor scavenger hunt, and they have prizes inside and hot chocolate and cookies and clues hidden all around the park.
You start out with a map that will show you where to go around the trails. We have clues lining the trail so you don't get lost, and then you have to hike throughout the park to the different locations to find Eddie the Yeti and his family.
Even though it's a little bit cold, it's still nice to be outside. It gives the kids a fun activity to do. It keeps them engaged, and it's really nice to enjoy the parks here.
Hey, careful, please. For more on all the county parks have to offer, visit washtenaw.org. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. Ann Arbor is home to more than 160 parks with scenic views, places to play, and some top-notch facilities. See all that Bryant Community Center has to offer during this Park Peek. For 20 years, the Bryant Community Center has enhanced the quality of life in Ann Arbor. The facility is owned by the City of Ann Arbor's Parks Department and operated by Community Action Network, CAN, allowing the city to share its space, and in return, CAN provides community support. CAN partners with children, youth, and families from under-resourced Washtenaw County neighborhoods to create better futures for themselves and improve the communities in which they live. The Bryant Community Center hosts a food pantry, academic achievement, and life skill enrichment programs, in addition to a variety of other services for eligible families. The site is available for receptions, special events, and meetings. For more, visit a2gov.org/parks. The frigid temps have blown in, and to keep the home safe and its inhabitants, the Ann Arbor Fire Department has some tips in case of cold weather emergencies. Learn more in this month's City Roundup.
Hi, I'm Sydney Parmenter, the Emergency Management Coordinator with the City of Ann Arbor. Winter is well on its way here in Michigan, and while many look forward to winter festivities, it is equally important that we prepare for winter weather, which can include extreme cold temperatures, heavy snowfall, and accumulating ice, which can lead to hazardous traveling conditions and widespread power outages. Here are 3 things you can do to prepare yourself for winter weather. First, sign up to receive A2 emergency alerts by visiting www.washtenaw.org/alerts. Through the registration process, you can select to receive weather-related alerts via phone, text, and/or email. It is equally important that as a Washtenaw County resident, you are aware of the winter weather conditions and their protective actions. In addition to a watch, advisory, and warning, the county may issue a winter weather condition red or yellow. Under a winter weather condition yellow, motorists are encouraged not to drive. However, If you must, we ask that you take extreme caution and account for extended traveling times. Under snow condition red, we strongly encourage motorists not to drive. The second thing you can do to prepare is either create or review your household emergency plan. Your household emergency plan should include places to go to stay warm in the event of a power outage during extreme cold temperatures. This may include a family or friend or neighbor's home or a Washtenaw County warming center. To find a Washtenaw County warming center near you, please visit their website at www.washtenaw.org. And lastly, we strongly encourage that you create or update your household emergency kit and create one to keep in your vehicle. Some important materials to consider for your kit include a flashlight, a mobile phone charger, non-perishable food, bottled water, warm clothes, and extra blankets. For more information on how to build your kit, please visit www.ready.gov/kit. In closing, thank you for preparing yourself and your loved ones for winter weather.
Soap operas have been dying a slow death for as long as we can remember. But what if the genre is your livelihood? Loving Lives follows the tumultuous story of a radio soap opera in 1948 as it struggles for ratings and the ups and downs and in-betweens of the cast and crew. Joining me is Ezra Korycinski, director of PTD's production of Loving Lives. Welcome to the show, Ezra.
Thanks for having me, Dana.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the synopsis, without obviously spoiling the show, of Loving Lives and what attracted you to the show? Because I talk to a lot of directors and you really have to like a show to direct a show.
Well, I'm going to disagree about needing to like a show to direct it. I've come from professional theater, and sometimes you just take what you're handed. But I do happen to like this show. I put it up for PTD's season of my own accord. So it's about, like you said, 1940s radio soap opera on its last legs. And, well, halfway through the show, that last leg kind of crumbles, which is not necessarily a spoiler, but it's kind of the whole crux of the comedy. So I guess the last show I directed was very emotionally heavy, had a lot of complex themes to go along with it, had a lot of complicated ideas that I really wanted to express and really dig into the meat of. And, after doing that very emotionally heavy passion project, I just wanted some cake. I ate all my vegetables, I had my meat, I had my dinner, and now it's just time for, a nice big bowl of ice cream. And that's what this show is to me, at least creatively.
Well, Ezra, why don't you tell us, are you a soap opera fan, first of all?
I think that kind of depends on what your definition of soap opera is. I wouldn't say I'm like a, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives fan, but I have seen all of Law and Order SVU through about 8 times. I've seen all of Grey's Anatomy. So kind of.
Yeah, you're more of a prime time soap kind of person than a daytime. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what, you mentioned professional theater. Have you acted, directed, stagehand? What's your experience in the theater?
Most of my experience is with acting and directing. I was actually pursuing professional directing before I kind of got into the field for a little bit, and I realized, no, I think because with professional theater, really, you do have to take into consideration things like the business side of things. You have to pay a little more attention to like what, your audience might want you to put on, because, it is a business. You do have to make money. You do have to be able to pay everyone involved. So, and you're limited a lot by the certain types of things you can do. A lot of the theaters I worked with were very much focused on like, okay, so what's the best play we can do with the fewest amount of actors? And that's not the kind of, I wanted to do theater where I could focus more on the art of it, the artisticness, the actually working with the actors, which is what I love so much about community theater. It's basically all volunteer run, so you can do as many people as you want, essentially. And you can do maybe some of those riskier shows that might not be, your biggest moneymaker, but can be very satisfying, to the people who work on them, who create them, and honestly to the community, but just maybe not the type of community that brings in the big bucks and, donates to thousands of dollars.
Well, and you mentioned earlier that, directing isn't always about liking the show, but I do think with community theater, you are going to pick a show that you enjoy. It's something that's really going to give you a vision of what you want it to be.
That's also definitely true. That was another reason I kind of left professional theater. If I'm going to be, putting my whole, creative being into a project, I do want it to be a project I care about,
Oh, totally. And putting on a play is so much work. I don't know if people that have never been in a play understand how much work and you're putting in so much work a week. All the actors, you, the stage hands, everybody is really has to be into it to want to do it.
Even with community theater, like I'm not being paid for this. I do this entirely volunteer on my own time. I'm putting in at least 15 hours of rehearsals per week. And then as the director, there's a lot of time outside of rehearsals that I'm also working on this, communicating with the crew, making the schedules, thinking about exactly how I want things done. So if I'm working full time, I'm actually working like 60 plus hours per week.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll notice even most people who do community theater, they won't do like back-to-back shows because you need to have a break in there sometime. This can be very fulfilling, but what's also fulfilling in a different way is laying face down on my couch, watching those primetime soap operas.
Well, you did mention earlier too that you have cast restraints in professional theater. I was looking at PTD's website and it looks like you have a pretty large cast in this show.
It's a big group. It can sometimes be hard to cast shows that are this big. And actually we did have a couple difficulties when we were doing auditions. We kind of had a lineup of people and we could see a lot of people in different roles. And I worked a lot with my producer to figure out the best way to kind of the best version of the show, given who we had and who would work best across each other. Because especially in a comedy like this, what's really going to sell it is the relationships between the actors, honestly, or at least between the actors' characters, that kind of chemistry.
Well, yeah, and the actors
just focus
themselves.
on how pretty they are.
Yeah, I think if you feel a connection to your scene partner, it definitely shows on stage. Okay, so why don't you talk about some of the different roles in the show? Because I was looking and I'm like, okay, so you have like the lead actor in the soap, you have the announcer of the soap, you actually have a child star, and I don't know if that's played by a child or an adult, but tell us a little bit about this range of people, because the soap opera does have a lot of characters. I personally love a daytime soap, so I know all about them.
So this particular soap opera at the time, I believe only four of the characters are actually in the soap opera itself, because we have our lead actor who plays an actor playing a character on the soap opera. That would be Brian, and then we've got his female co-star Rosie, played by Johanna Drentlaw, our announcer John Cleary, played by Gavin Allen, and then our female lead's mother, who is played by Blanche Kennedy, who's played by Cindy Franklin. But that's really the whole cast of the soap opera as it stands. There is a bonus character played by not unwilling, but certainly mildly pushy Bibsy Sullivan, played by Jenny Scusamari. That's going to get very annoying. Played by. But then, you've got the director of everything, Mac. You've got Mac's assistant. You've got a couple dancers who just wander in from the blizzard, not unlike the weather we're having today. We've got the writer of the show who stumbles in for one very impressive monologue. I believe he has my favorite line in the show, which I will not spoil. And then we do have So in the show, little Philip is supposed to be an 11-year-old due to some difficulties, trying to, just getting a child that young to work in community theater. I realize that can be complicated for their parents, that can be complicated for their scheduling, and it's a lot of pressure to put on someone that young. So our Philip is being played by the slightly older Onyx Ellerthorpe, and I personally think it's even funnier to have Onyx in the role because they're about a little over 6 foot, I think, and there's a line that specifically is like, oh, is the microphone is the microphone short enough for you? Implying that, oh, we're supposed to have an 11-year-old on stage. And it's actually way funnier, in my opinion, to have Onyx just like staring down, just being like, probably, yeah.
It's funny just talking about it, honestly.
Oh, that's a good sign for people to come see the show.
Totally.
It'll be way funnier if you're hearing the lines come out of the actors' mouths than my mouth.
Totally. Talk about, the soap opera itself is kind of a character in the show, isn't it?
Loving Lives? I don't know about it being so much a character as a plot device. It's talked about. It's the reason that they're in the, terrible film studio that they're in with, none of their normal equipment, the roof's caving in, the lights are always going out. And, the show itself, while it is their main livelihood, they're all actors. They're working in multiple different shows. They're all doing 20 different things to make ends meet, as you do. So it's really more so just the circumstances of the thing, I find. It's like everyone everyone being on a cruise ship, or everyone just going to a dinner party. It's the circumstance, but it leads to so much more.
Well, when you read the synopsis of it, I've never seen the show, so I don't know it in its entirety. You talk about in the synopsis that like it's obviously like they're brought together by loving lives, but in the end, these characters' relationships outside of the show are really the soap opera.
Oh, absolutely. The female and male romantic leads completely interested in different people, and those relationships themselves are their own bag of cats, from trying to convince someone to get married to them, to a questionable age gap relationship, and then you've got the director who seems to be involved with every woman she comes across in the theatrical world, as just sometimes happens. You cross paths with people enough times and things just spark. And we've got family relationships. The assistant and Philip are, brother and sister. And then we just have Dennis, who is purely related by, he's the writer. He's giving them all this material to work with, and he wants nothing else to do with any of them.
So it's a period piece. It's set in 1948. And I know a big thing with PTD is they always have really beautiful sets. Like it might not be beautiful because it's a crumbling soundstage, but I feel like they always know how to set the scene, your set design. Talk about working with the set designers and what we can expect to see come show date.
So my particular style of showmanship really is I really prefer a sparser set. I like to, I like to basically create the platform and let the actors do, all the acting,
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably going to be a little emptier, a little less glamorous than maybe something like Escanaba with all of its trappings. I will say that you want to talk about something being a character, there will be a Foley table on stage the entire time, because one of the characters is the Foley man, the sound effects guy. He will be making all of the sound effects for the radio show live on stage in front of our audience. That was something that was very important to me when I was doing the show, and genuinely one of the funniest parts of it. So, you get to see all of the whoopee cushions and how they do the gun shots, and how they make memory effects and all sorts of other things, but live on the stage without maybe what we're used to in the modern day of just loading up a sound file library and hitting the appropriate button.
I love that. I love thinking about that Foley artist just sort of being a part of the show, which was so true in 1948. There was somebody there making those noises.
We're also going to have an actual sound booth off to the side as well. But other than that, it's just going to be wide open space and a couple of mics for people to, well, act on top of acting into.
When is the show?
Show runs February 15th through 18th and the 21st through the 24th. So
And
we've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, and then Thursday through Saturday again.
And Thursdays are still pay what you can?
Thursdays, you pay what you can. Yep. Yeah, the evening shows are at a new time, which I have been very specifically told to mention. Our shows used to be at 8 p.m., but now they're starting at 7:30. So make dinner plans appropriately.
I actually kind of like a 7:30 start, if I'm being honest. It's kind of nice. I feel like 8, sometimes you're waiting around for the show to start.
Yeah, especially if you get dinner at 6 p.m. like I feel a lot of Americans do. I feel like that's very classic Americana stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Why should people come see the show, and maybe give us your highlight while you're talking about it?
I've lived in Michigan for about 3 years, and every year the winter comes and it sucks. And it's dark and it's cold, and I worry about my tires popping, and I'm just hunkering down and waiting until, it is above 32 degrees for, 2 days in a row. And while I'm hunkered down, you need a little joy during those times. I think you need to just go somewhere, laugh for a couple hours at something inconsequential, not necessarily meaningless, without the substance. This is the time for cotton candy and just not thinking about the everything else going on outside. I think it'll be a good, uncomplicated comedy. And I think it's happening right around Valentine's Day. So if you literally have nothing better for your sweetheart than a couple's date night out, it's perfect. It's right there.
All right. Well, thank you, Ezra, for being on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you about Loving Lives. I hope everyone gets a chance to get out and see it. It sounds really fun and funny.
Yeah, thank you very much.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.